So we've got a reset here. We've got the aliens starting in the top right. And uplink command generic spawn for the Marines. All 5 of them spreading out nice and evenly. 2-3 split there. IP dropped in base, and commander's probably going to be doing the building there, perhaps. No mines actually. And the IP is not being built, and it looks like Ancestral's being called. A little bit of miscommunication there. He's going back to base to build that. WoW and B1 pushing into this room like we saw previously. Only 2 of them going up against the 4 skulks, and it looks like a failed parasite from X-Ray Cat and a lot of damage onto him. So that's exactly what we needed to see before. Deal with the parasite and take the skulk off the armor there, and try and scare him off. B1 and WoW pushing through this corridor, and it looks like these guys are going for a base push. You can see they're playing very defensively, very slowly, trying to sneak past, and they've got a perfect route to the base. Only Ancestral in defense with a double IP. Instead, actually, they're going for a sneaky attack onto Wob and B1, who've already taken down one guy. If the extractor is tapped, this could be a pretty early win for the aliens. Looks like it's a very difficult room to take on. You see Malice goes in there, takes a huge amount of damage. Nice job from the aliens getting that kill, but Keller is very low health along with Leechor, and double pistol kill from Wob. Very standard, very nice from him. And that's exactly what I wanted to see on the Marine side. It looks like Harvesters are being echoed out. A full health Harvester was just dropped into waste handling, where there is Onzor, who's free to just axe that thing slow and steadily, and a Gorgian base to do a lot of the building of the harvesters and such. So they're going for a nice Echo Harvester build, which certainly means the harvester they got there is going to be alive for a little bit longer, but it's certainly doomed, especially with Bitey covering the corridor that allows reinforcements to come in and deal with that. You've got the Gorge coming in to heal Leechor, but it looks like Imagine are right on top of this game right now. Onzor's just doing nothing there, waiting for the harvester to die. Bitey covering the corridor. That's pretty much the north side of the map held. Really interesting observatory here, actually. That's going to cover probably about that much of the map. That's going to cover a couple of vents. The centre of the map's definitely covered by that observatory, and these vents down here. So there's a lot of potential for that observatory. That's a really nice, interesting play they've got there. Maybe that's something from the old days of NS1 that they know. And it looks like Bitey's actually pushing into a gorge and 2 skulks right now. Whip being echoed in right next to the harvester. Launches loads of damage onto Bitey, and he's forced to retreat. He's got a couple of med packs dropped for him. He's back up to full health, and Ancestral's there, maybe with a welder. And he's going to be back up to full health. Mines and observatory are complete. And I can't really see what WongaNS is doing right now. They've snuck Malice right round the back, and they're going to be taking on the 5th extractor that Imagine have built so far, but it looks like they're going for a 6th. So in terms of resources, WongaNS are far behind, and they need to find a way to deal with that. B1 and Wob doing a fantastic positioning here. Wob with some really line of sight damage onto those 2 skulks, and those 2 skulks really weren't able to kill B1 quick enough. He took them both out, and it looks like Keller's coming in to reinforce, but it's a little late, and the scan goes down. Perfect scan. Outsmarting Keller there, and he has to retreat. There's no way you can take a Marine on if he knows exactly where you are like that. Face tech early start there. So clearly they're very happy with their aggressive positioning. They would just want to get the face gates up, secure these positioning. And very nice gank from Leechor and Malice onto Onzor and Bitey there, and they clear them up very nicely, but B1 is actually in position to take on a Skulk, and the Gorge is forced to retreat. So these guys are just so aggressive right now, and they're not being cleared. Shotguns have started, so still no arms lab upgrades, and it looks like B1 and Wob finally caught out a little bit. B1 with some fantastic pistoling, a double kill there. He's getting a lot of med packs to try and deal with Mega. X-Ray Cat from behind, but that was really impressive pistoling there from him. That's nice stuff. Ancestral and Onzor are in the centre of the map. Still waiting for the phase tech to be complete. Protecting their observatory until that happens. And now that that's finally done, I don't know where the standard positioning is, but you could imagine it's probably somewhere here, somewhere central to the top of the map, that allows them to cut off any kind of cyst line here. And it's a nice aggressive position to cross cargo storage, so that's definitely an idea. Or perhaps they could just build in cargo storage if they want to go super aggressive and stay right on top of the hive. So you are seeing that Gorge tunnel. It's finally there, but it's very late, and they're not killing the extractor despite being at 2% health. It's acting as a little bit of cover there for X-Ray Cat, who didn't want to take more rifle damage than necessary, which is quite smart, but at this point they really need to be on top of these extractors as much as possible. There's still 5 up for the Marine side, and at the moment there is still potential for the aliens to turn this around. They've got no arms lab upgrades, which means if they clear a lot of the phase gates, deal with a lot of the Marines, and try and turn this around a little bit, there's definitely room. There's definitely room for the aliens to turn this around, but at this rate, we're seeing the Marines doing really well and the aliens kind of struggling. It's going to be, I'd be very surprised if they can turn this around. So we've got the Lurks on the field finally. Malice and Keller have taken Lurks, and they're flying around the hive right now. You can see how forced to be defensive they are. Malice is sat right on top of the hive, grabbing the heals, and Keller there dealing with Onzor. So you've got the two Marines, each side, one on this entrance and one on this entrance, doing a really good job of just culling these guys. They're not allowed to escape out of this side. Extra cat onto Onzor. We'll see how Onzor does. Actually, doesn't manage to get a rifle shot off because of the reload speed, I would guess. And that means Wob has forced to retreat because he was going to lose line of sight on the left. And now he's in a great position, so really smart. Just fall back until you can hold these corridors nicely. And he's in a really smart position there. So still no phase tech has been dropped. Imagine on 5 extractors and the harvester's count is on 3 almost. But the whole time the aliens are very defensive. They're trying to hold on. Shotguns are done, so you've got the bitey ancestral combo here. It looks like a mine has been dropped behind them. Rifle shotgun combo. Wob takes on a skulk there alone. Up in acidic processing. This is Scan goes down to make sure he's clear to push up into cargo storage. So it looks like they're trying to make this double push happen. And it looks like they don't actually care about waste handling right now. They scan it. They've left one guy to deal with it, but there's a crag there, so it's going to take them a very long time to deal with that harvester. And Ancestral Line bitey on top of Keller. The Keller with a double shotgun blast takes him out almost immediately. So this is looking really bad for the aliens right now. They finally got up to 3 harvesters, but that goes down as soon as that occurs for them. They still have the Gorge, who's in position to take a lot of these harvesters from unbuilt to built. Another couple of shotgun blasts takes out the Lurk there, and this is looking terrible for the aliens. At this point, all you can predict is really the Marines are just going to push in as far as they can. If they're forced to retreat, they will, but I think at this point the lack of eggs, lack of life forms, and lack of upgrades is going to make sure that the Marines have a pretty easy time clearing up this room and dealing with the hive. So it seems like, I have to say, I think both sides don't know the map that well. It seems to have played in Imagine's favour because they are the higher skill team, I think. So maybe it will balance out a bit more on a map that they maybe know a little bit more on both sides, if they may be a bit more familiar with Eclipse. But certainly on Tanith, Imagine were just the stronger team, and there's not really much more to say than that. They had way better skill. You can look at the scoreboard there. It looks like they had a total of, if you ignore B1 actually, took 4 deaths there, which is more than anyone else on that team. But 1 or 2 deaths on the rest of them. That's pretty significant compared to the 7 or 8 deaths some of these guys had on the alien team. So that was an interesting game. Ultimately, there wasn't much stuff to analyse there. The strategies were essentially unnecessary and arbitrary. It was just skill. The Imagine guys were very good. They didn't lose combat like once, essentially. They lost when they went really aggressive, but that's kind of like suicide pushing just because you can. Just to keep the aggression on the alien side of the map, because that makes your own extractors safer. Other than that, there was very little going on from the aliens in terms of turning it around or keeping on top of extractors or making any kind of openings. So ultimately, that was kind of like painting by numbers for the for Imagine there. They just cleared up every so often and eventually pushed the hive and won. So not much to really discuss there. Might have been nice to see the Gorge Tunnel come up earlier, because if you're going for that kind of echoing the harvesters out, you kind of need to set up something to support the harvesters. You can't just drop them and leave them. That's not enough. Even if they've got a lot of health, and that's obviously the strength of the shift out the harvest.